Imagine a time when Rome's political strategy involved more backstabbing than a reality TV show, and we mean literal backstabbing. Welcome to the 1st century BC, where alliances were as stable as a chariot on a bumpy road, and Julius Caesar was just one river crossing away from saying, "Rules." What rules? The great men of Rome's tumultuous era. The 1st century BC in Rome was defined by a mix of legendary figures whose military and political prowess would become subjects of historical study for millennia. Key figures such as Sulla, Marius, Cicero, Cato, Crassus, Pompey, and Julius Caesar all had the potential to lead Rome to prosperity. Each man brought unique skills and vision to the Republic. Yet, when their ambitions clashed, they instead steered Rome toward chaos and conflict. This period became a cauldron of power struggles and ideological rifts, setting the stage for one of the most transformative conflicts in Roman history, the Great Roman Civil War. The crumbling republic and social divisions. The slow unraveling of the Roman Republic began well before Caesar's time, with its roots tracing back to the assassination of the Gracchi brothers in the 2nd century BC. Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus were reformist politicians who aimed to bridge the gap between Rome's aristocracy and its plebeian class by implementing policies to redistribute land and address economic inequalities. Their violent deaths revealed a growing chasm within Roman society, which would only widen in the following decades. The Republic was soon embroiled in a series of revolts, from the slave uprisings in Sicily to the social war with Rome's Italian allies. This culminated in the civil wars of Sulla and Marius, showcasing the split between the populares, who sought popular support, and the optimates, who defended senatorial authority. Sulla's precedent and the First Triumvirate. Sulla's rise to power as dictator in the early 1st century BC marked a pivotal moment for the Republic. His unprecedented march on Rome, seizing control of the city with military force, demonstrated that generals could use their armies to subvert the political process. Although Sulla implemented reforms to prevent similar coups in the future, the very act set a precedent that could not be undone. The formation of the First Triumvirate in 59 BC was a response to the fractured state of the Republic. This unofficial coalition of Marcus Licinius Crassus, Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, and Gaius Julius Caesar wielded considerable influence. Crassus, the wealthiest man in Rome, funded their endeavors and secured political favors with bribes. Pompey, Rome's celebrated general, commanded the loyalty of veterans and had a storied military career, including campaigns in Asia Minor and the East. Caesar, though younger and less experienced, held the office of Pontifex Maximus and had the charisma needed to sway the masses. Caesar's strategic ascent. Caesar's entry into the triumvirate marked the beginning of his strategic rise to power. With Crassus' financial support and Pompey's military endorsement, Caesar won the consulship in 59 BC. He swiftly implemented land reforms that benefited Pompey's veterans and legitimized Pompey's military victories in the East. Though the Senate attempted to limit Caesar's influence by assigning him a minor administrative post after his consulship, the triumvirate's collective power overruled this decision. Instead, Caesar was appointed governor of Illyria, Cisalpine Gaul, and Transalpine Gaul for 5 years, complete with 4 legions at his command. This appointment provided Caesar with an opportunity to enhance his military credentials, accumulate wealth, and foster unwavering loyalty among his soldiers, setting the stage for future confrontations. Political violence and Rome's unrest. The instability of the Republic was exacerbated by the rise of Clodius Pulcher, a controversial figure who abandoned his patrician status to become tribune of the plebs. Backed by the triumvirate, Clodius passed populist laws, including a grain dole that endeared him to the lower classes. However, Clodius' ambitions led him to form street gangs that intimidated political rivals and even forced the respected orator Cicero into exile. In response, Pompey, growing wary of Clodius' unchecked power, supported Milo, another tribune who assembled rival gangs. These groups clashed in violent street battles, disrupting the city's daily life. Rome descended into chaos, and the Senate struggled to maintain order. The violence reflected deeper political dysfunctions that the Triumvirate had inadvertently helped foster. The fracturing of the Triumvirate. While initially effective, the alliance among Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus was inherently unstable. The death of Julia, Caesar's daughter and Pompey's wife, in 54 BC severed a crucial familial bond that helped maintain unity between the two men. The situation further deteriorated with the death of Crassus during his disastrous campaign against the Parthians at the Battle of Carrhae in 53 BC. His demise removed the balancing force within the Triumvirate, leaving Pompey and Caesar as the dominant figures in Rome. The rift widened as Pompey aligned more with the Senate and the Optimates, especially after the murder of Clodius in 52 BC by Milo. The aftermath of Clodius' death incited a riot, during which his supporters set fire to the Senate House, symbolizing the city's descent into anarchy. The Senate's fear of Caesar. As Caesar's campaigns in Gaul brought him substantial wealth and prestige, the Senate, particularly hardline figures like Cato the Younger, grew increasingly alarmed. Caesar now commanded an army of 10 legions, approximately 50,000 seasoned troops, who were fiercely loyal to him. The parallels to Sulla's earlier actions were too close for comfort, and many senators feared that Caesar might use his military power to seize control. The fear of his potential march on Rome led the Senate to pressure Pompey, who had once been Caesar's ally, to act as their protector. This realignment of alliances was pivotal. Pompey, now backed by the Senate, became the Optimates' champion against Caesar, who remained the leader of the populares. Caesar's defiance and the Senate's ultimatum. Despite mounting pressure, Caesar refused to surrender his command without conditions. He understood that relinquishing his position would leave him vulnerable to prosecution for alleged crimes committed during his consulship and governorship, including unauthorized military campaigns in Gaul and Britain. Negotiations between Caesar's supporters, including Mark Antony and Curio, and the Senate repeatedly failed, with both sides refusing to compromise. The Senate escalated matters by invoking the Senatus Consultum Ultimum, a declaration of emergency that empowered Pompey to defend the Republic. Caesar's tribunes, fearing for their safety, fled Rome to join him at Ravenna, solidifying their support for his cause. Crossing the Rubicon, the point of no return. On January 10, 49 BC, Caesar faced a momentous decision at the Rubicon River, which marked the boundary of Italy. Crossing it with his troops would be an act of war, a declaration of defiance against the Senate's authority. Aware of the consequences, Caesar deliberated for hours. Memories of Sulla's brutal civil war and the persecution his own family endured weighed heavily on him. However, the alternative, surrender and potential execution, left him with little choice. Finally, he uttered the famous words, "Alia viacta est," the die is cast, and crossed the Rubicon with the 13th Legion. This irreversible act set the Great Roman Civil War in motion, a conflict that would redefine Rome's political landscape. The aftermath and legacy. The Roman Civil War that followed Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon was not just a battle for power, but a culmination of decades of social, political, and military upheavals. It represented the final showdown between the populares, who sought change through populist measures, and the entrenched Optimates, who clung to senatorial tradition. Caesar's defiance and subsequent victories underscored the weaknesses in the Republic's structure. A government unable to balance power without succumbing to deadlock or violence. Though Caesar's actions ultimately led to the fall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire, they highlighted the inevitability of change in a system that could no longer support the weight of competing ambitions. This transformation paved the way for a new era under the rule of emperors, beginning with Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian, who would become Augustus, the first Roman emperor. That's all for today's videos. If you enjoyed this dive into Rome's most dramatic power plays, Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more epic stories from history's wildest moments. Join us as we uncover the secrets, schemes, and legendary figures that shaped our world. See you in the next adventure.